He was born into a China that was still finding its feet after revolution, a sunburnt, hard-scrabble childhood in rural Sichuan, the eldest of 5 boys. That boy, Wang Jianlin, would grow into one of the most ambitious and controversial businessmen in modern China. The founder of Dalian Wanda Group, a man who turned an $80,000 loan and a struggling local developer into a global empire of shopping malls, hotels, theme parks, cinemas, and movie studios. This is the story of how Wang Jianlin built Wanda, how he aimed at Hollywood and global sport, and how a spectacular rise collided with the realities of politics, debt, and a rapidly changing Chinese economy. Wang Jianlin was born on October 24, 1954, in Kangxi County, Guangwan, in Sichuan Province. He grew up in a poor farming family in a nation still recovering from political upheaval. His father had served in the People's Liberation Army, and discipline was a constant presence in Wang's early life. At just 15 years old, Wang lied about his age to enlist in the PLA. The army became his first real education. Over the next 16 years, he climbed the ranks, learning organization, leadership, and the uncompromising structure of hierarchy. Those years shaped his personality, blunt, demanding, and intensely results-driven, traits that would later define his leadership style in business. When military downsizing forced Wang to leave the PLA in the early 1980s, he transitioned into civilian life through government work. He moved to Dalian, a port city in northeastern China that was opening rapidly to reform-era growth. There, he worked as a local government administrator, overseeing housing and development projects. This role gave him something invaluable: insight into land use, urban planning, and the mechanics of state-owned enterprises. More importantly, it placed him at the intersection of politics and commerce, a critical junction in China's economic system. In 1988, Wang made the decision that would change his life. He took over a struggling, nearly bankrupt state-owned property company called Shigang Residential Development. To do it, he borrowed roughly $80,000, a substantial sum for a young official with no private business background. Rather than liquidating the company, Wang restructured it. He tightened costs, focused on residential developments that could sell quickly, and emphasized execution speed. Within a few years, the company returned to profitability. In 1992, it was restructured into a shareholding enterprise and renamed Dalian Wanda Group. China in the 1990s was urbanizing at breakneck speed, and Wang understood that cities were the future. His vision was not just to build apartments, but to shape how urban life functioned. Wanda began acquiring prime land in city centers and developing large-scale commercial complexes. These projects would eventually become known as Wanda Plazas, massive mixed-use developments combining shopping malls, cinemas, restaurants, offices, and hotels. Wang believed that owning the physical platform of consumption gave Wanda power. Retail tenants changed, but the real estate endured. As Wanda expanded, Wang pushed a strategy of vertical integration. Wanda didn't just lease space to retailers, it owned the cinemas, managed the hotels, and controlled the commercial operations. This allowed Wanda to extract revenue from multiple layers of the same asset. By the early 2000s, Wanda had become China's largest commercial real estate developer. Wang Jianlin was no longer just a property builder. He was shaping consumer behavior in modern Chinese cities. But Wang's ambitions extended far beyond China's borders. He believed that real estate alone was too cyclical, too vulnerable. Culture and entertainment, he argued, were the future. In 2012, Wanda made a bold move by acquiring AMC Theatres in the United States, instantly becoming the world's largest movie theater operator. The deal stunned observers. A Chinese real estate developer now controlled a major pillar of American cinema. For Wang, this was only the beginning. Cinemas provided cash flow, but more importantly, they offered a gateway into global entertainment. Wang's strategy was clear: control distribution first, then move upstream into content. In 2016, Wanda acquired Legendary Entertainment, the Hollywood studio behind major blockbuster franchises. Wang openly declared that Wanda intended to build a global entertainment empire, one that could rival established Western giants, while serving China's growing appetite for cultural products. Wanda announced plans for massive film studios, theme parks, and entertainment hubs inside China, often described as China's Hollywood. At the same time, Wang pushed into global sports. In 2015, Wanda purchased a significant stake in Atletico Madrid, one of Europe's most prominent football clubs. Wanda also became a major sponsor of international sports organizations and launched the China Cup, an international football tournament designed to elevate China's presence in global soccer. These moves were not purely financial. They were branding exercises, efforts to place Wanda and China at the center of global culture and spectacle. As Wang's profile grew, so did scrutiny of his personal life. His son, Wang Xikong, became a public figure known for his outspoken personality, luxury lifestyle, and frequent clashes on social media. While Wang Jianlin remained disciplined and formal, his son represented a new generation of Chinese wealth, brash, public, and unconcerned with tradition. Together, they symbolized the generational shift within China's elite. Wang also cultivated a philanthropic image. One of his most high-profile donations funded the rebuilding of the Porcelain Tower of Nanjing, a historic cultural landmark. Philanthropy served multiple purposes: preserving national heritage, reinforcing Wang's status as a patriotic entrepreneur, and aligning Wanda with cultural legitimacy rather than pure profit. By the mid-2010s, Wanda was at its peak. Wang Jianlin briefly became China's richest man. Wanda's overseas acquisitions spanned hotels, real estate, cinemas, sports clubs, and entertainment companies across Europe, the United States, and Australia. But beneath the surface, risk was accumulating. Much of Wanda's expansion was fueled by debt, financed through China's aggressive credit system. As capital flowed outward, regulators grew uneasy. In 2017, the Chinese government moved decisively to curb capital outflows and rein in highly leveraged conglomerates. Wanda found itself directly in the crosshairs. Its overseas acquisitions were scrutinized, financing channels tightened, and banks pulled back. Almost overnight, Wanda's expansion model became unsustainable. Wang Jianlin was forced into a dramatic reversal, selling assets, unwinding deals, and retreating from the global stage he had so aggressively pursued. Wanda began selling hotels, real estate projects, and stakes in entertainment ventures. The goal was survival. Wang shifted from expansion to defense, focusing on reducing debt and complying with regulatory demands. The image of the unstoppable tycoon gave way to that of a crisis manager fighting to preserve his empire. Then came the pandemic. Movie theaters closed, foot traffic vanished, and retail properties suffered. Wanda's core businesses were hit simultaneously. The pressure accelerated asset sales and reinforced the need for a leaner, more disciplined Wanda Group. Wang refocused the company on domestic operations, commercial property management, cultural tourism, and projects aligned with internal consumption rather than global ambition. Despite everything, Wang never abandoned his belief in culture and experience-driven consumption. Wanda continued developing theme parks, tourism complexes, and urban leisure centers across China. The rhetoric changed, less about conquest, more about sustainability, but the core vision endured. Wang Jianlin's reputation remains deeply divided. To supporters, he is a builder who modernized Chinese cities, created millions of jobs, and pushed Chinese companies onto the global stage. To critics, he represents the dangers of debt-fueled expansion and the illusion of limitless growth in a politically controlled system. His rise and retrenchment mirror the broader story of China's private sector: explosive growth followed by recalibration. Today, Wang Jianlin is no longer the richest man in China, nor the most powerful, but he remains influential. Wanda Plazas continue to anchor cities across the country. Wanda cinemas still dominate screens. His legacy is written into skylines, shopping habits, and entertainment experiences across China. Wang Jianlin's life is ultimately a study in ambition and constraint. He rose from poverty and military service to command one of the largest private conglomerates China has ever produced. He dared to think globally, to buy Hollywood studios and European football clubs, and to reshape culture as a business. And he learned, painfully, that scale brings vulnerability, especially when economics and politics collide. For entrepreneurs, his story is both inspiration and warning. Vision and execution can build empires, but leverage and overreach can test even the most disciplined leaders. Wang Jianlin's journey reminds us that success is never permanent, and that adaptation, not dominance, determines who endures. That is the story of Wang Jianlin, soldier, builder, billionaire, and one of the most consequential business figures of modern China.